I want to love you. I want to rock with you. PYT all night. Don't stop till you get enough.
Now, if you just caught that little medley, yes. YouTube didn't flag me. Hello. We are here to review, to react to the highest grossing biopic ever, Michael. Today is officially July 1st. Okay, so the film has been out we're going on 3 months. And believe it or not, there are some people who still have not seen this biopic. I saw it the second day that it came out. It came out on a Friday. I saw it on Saturday. I saw it 3 times in the theater. I found 2 people who were bootlegging it on TikTok, and I watched it every day with them. Then, when it became available to stream, I bought it on Amazon Prime, and I watch it every day at home now. I also paid for the pre-order. Now I gotta buy me a DVD player, and I've ordered a plethora of Michael Jackson memorabilia. So first, we got to give a shout out to Jaafar Jackson. He officially won his first acting award. And that is the first of many, and it was very well deserved. Now, let's get into the movie. I don't know how long this is going to be, okay? But if you are a Michael fan and if you saw the biopic, then sit back and relax because you want to hear it. You want to talk about it. Now, I loved how it started out with a flashback type of thing, right? We see Michael coming out as the bad era Michael, right? And I love the mystery about it, how we only see him from the waist down and then we see him from the back. So we don't get to see how Jaafar has transformed into Michael, how he looks like Michael just yet, right? They gave us a little teaser, right? And then it flashed all the way back to 1960 something. I don't remember what it was. But it flashed all the way back to the beginning. And I love movies that do that. I love a good flashback, right? I love when you start watching a movie and then like after the first 5 minutes, it flashes back and says 10 years earlier. I love that. It draws the suspense for when you get to the end of the movie and it takes you back to the very beginning where it started. It puts all the pieces together, right? I've heard a few people say that they didn't like how the film skipped years, right? I didn't mind that. I enjoyed that. I love how they had the years, how they put the years on the screen. I like that. I enjoyed it. We'll start with Giuliano, okay? Because I saw an interview with Antoine and he said, and I definitely agreed with him on this, in order to get people to really gravitate to the Michael character, you have to draw them in from the very beginning. If you're not hooked on Michael from the younger Michael, then you're not going to be hooked all throughout the movie when we get into the older Michael. I'm paraphrasing. Giuliano, he hooked me. He got me. Like, he definitely did an amazing job himself as the young Michael. I was definitely sucked in. The scene where they're coming back from their first performance, Catherine is still up. Joe tells them to set up because they're going to rehearse. Michael said, "Daddy, I'm tired." And, well, he didn't say daddy because, Joe ain't never let him call him daddy. But he said, "Why? We tired. And we did good." We did good and we sleepy. That's where we see the first incident of Michael getting that tail whooped, right? And it was so sad. It was so sad. You could hear his little whimpering, and then Joe called him Big Nose, and he ran into the bathroom and just crying. It was just like, oh, how could you do that, Joe? He's just a baby, Joe. I know some people was getting on Catherine too, like, how she just sitting there? Why she ain't say nothing? You just let Michael get beat like that. You know he ain't deserve that. You ain't say nothing to Joe. But listen, people kept saying, it was a different time back in the 60s and the women didn't really speak up. They stayed very meek and in their place. And, that's where it sucked me in, right? And I was sucked. I was like, all right, this gonna be a good movie. I like how they brought in the Peter Pan book, right? We know that Michael considered himself to be Peter Pan. We know Peter Pan never wanted to grow up. He was a big kid, and that's what Michael was. And I love how in the book on Captain Hook, they wrote Joseph and pointed an arrow at Captain Hook. So that kind of set the tone for how Michael felt about Joseph, right? Giuliano was so little. Like the film was filmed a couple years ago, and to see how he looked back then when it was filmed to how he looks now, he's older, he's taller. I believe he was 8 when he got the role, and I think now he's maybe 11, 12. But I noticed how small he was when they performed at the Apollo Theater. I think that was the scene. And Gladys Knight and the Pips were coming off stage. I had seen a lot of people in the comments on social media thinking that was Diana Ross. No, it was Gladys Knight. Diana Ross. We're going to get on her. When Gladys Knight introduced them and they walked out on the stage, Michael was so small. He was so small. He was so cute. But that's how Michael was. He was just small boy with this big, powerful voice that just blew people away. So Giuliano definitely played that role very, very well. Also in that scene, we were introduced to Suzanne. That bitch. Now, I saw American Dream, okay? Now, if you saw American Dream, then you know that Joe had an affair with Suzanne. I believe he had an affair with Suzanne, and then Angela Bassett found out because she heard him on the phone call, and she was like, Joseph Jackson, you a liar, and you a cheat. And no, I don't want you, I don't want you, I don't want you, I don't want you, I don't want you no more. Trust me, Katie, I never hurt you. I never do anything to hurt you. Now, if you've seen American Dream, then you know what scene I'm talking about. Now, wasn't he having an affair with Suzanne? Wasn't that her? I think that was her. So when she came on the screen, I was like, there go that bitch. But that's when we get introduced to her, and that's how it all started, how they got with Motown. We see them in the studio with Berry Gordy. Lorenz Tate played that role so well. The scene with Michael and Lorenz when Michael is getting ready to leave and he hugs Berry Gordy. So sweet. That's when you can see the bond starting to happen already. Like, I believe that was the first time they met Berry Gordy, or at least the first time in the studio. And to see how Michael felt a connection with Berry that quickly was great to see. And it was also great to see the look on Joe's face because he saw his son hugging on Barry. He felt away, and he should. And from there on, we see performances. We seen interviews with the press, just a couple of things that they had did with Motown. We got introduced to Bill Bray. I loved Keelan Jones in this role. He did an amazing job as Bill Bray. They really made him look like the real Bill Bray. And he really embraced his role as Michael's protector, as his guardian. I really, really enjoyed his role. And Antoine Fuqua has said that originally his role wasn't that big, but once they seen him on screen, he has said to Graham, I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of, we need to make something happen with him, or something, regarding extending his role. And I'm glad they did, because I definitely enjoyed Keelan's portrayal as Bill. Fast forward now. I love how they showed the scene of Michael watching Fred Astaire on TV, because that was one of his inspirations growing up. So that was really cool to see. Fast forward, now we're in 1978, I believe, 78 or 79. And we now are introduced to Jaafar, and he is with Quincy Jones. I loved this scene. I loved how the scene transitioned from the Ferris wheel because the Jackson 5 was performing at like a county fair, and it transitions from the Ferris wheel to where you could see Jaafar looking out of a window. I don't know. I just like that transition. Quincy starts speaking to him, and then the first thing Jaafar says is, "Pure escapism, Quincy." I love that. I don't know why. I just love when he says pure escapism, because Michael said that a lot. I've seen a lot of Michael interviews lately, and he definitely loved using that word escapism. But I love this scene. We get introduced to Jaafar, and baby, the afro, the voice, like that's when you really knew, okay, we finna see something. We finna see some magic. We are about to see some magic. Seeing Jaafar in this moment for the first time, and hair and makeup, the voice, we just knew. So in this era is when Michael is creating Off the Wall, right? This is his first time going solo. He's nervous to tell Joe, so he gets the executives to tell Joe, hey, you're going to be doing a solo album, da-da-da-da. Joe got a nerve to talk about, well, listen, I own his ass, so he can do whatever he wants in his free time, but every morning at 9 a.m., he would be at the microphone with his brothers. I said, I know you lying. You own him. Joe. But Michael said, okay, fine. I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but I'm gonna still do my damn solo album. So the time had come for him to go to the studio. He's so excited. He's talking to Louie. I love Louie. I saw this interview, the unauthorized interview from, I think, 1983, where he was walking out with Louie. He was so cute. So we're in the studio now with Quincy. We see Rod Temperton. If you don't know who he is, he was in the booth with Quincy. He helped write a lot of songs for Michael, I believe, on Off the Wall and Thriller. I'm not sure about Bad, but definitely Off the Wall and Thriller. This is when we first hear Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. And it was so cool to hear from Jaafar himself in the interview that he was actually singing. Like, they were mixing his vocals in with Michael's. So that was pretty cool. I love this scene because they transition from him being in the studio to the actual, like, making of the video. Like, I absolutely loved the transitions throughout the whole movie. But it was so cool to see how they did that with the three Michaels. I've always loved that from the actual video. I love watching like the big marbles just moving all around in that video. The video was so clean. Like, I've always loved Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. So I really loved how they did that. Now, this is where we were supposed to get them Studio 54 scenes, right? And we got maybe like in total 30 seconds of Studio 54. We see Michael getting out the limo, and we just see everybody inside just dancing, balloons everywhere. Like, they was having a time. They was having a time in Studio 54. If I was alive during them times, baby, every Saturday would have been in there every Saturday, ready to go. But I had always wondered about this because it was said that, I think her name was Kat Graham, I'm not sure, but they had filmed the scenes already. I've seen photos, like cast photos of them inside the club, and she's in the photos. So the scenes were already filmed with her portraying Diana Ross. And then we come to find out that the scenes had to get deleted because Diana didn't approve of it. And so I'm wondering, did she like disapprove afterwards? Because why else? I'm thinking, why would they even film these scenes with Diana Ross if they didn't have her approval, right? That don't make no sense. I would think they had her approval, so that's why they filmed the scenes. Now, unless they filmed it and then sent it to her and her people, and then they said, no, I don't like it. I don't know if that's how they did it. You know, they reached out to her afterwards, but I would think they wouldn't film unless they had the approval, because it wouldn't make any sense to film the scenes if you're not for sure if you'd even be able to use them, you know? So I don't know what happened there. The fans are disappointed. And I did see on social media that there was a little hatred being spewed towards Diana Ross. People were upset. And I feel bad for Kat because she filmed the scenes, right? And to find out that your scenes have to be removed and they will not be a part of the movie at all has to be so hurtful, because she's no longer a part of this magical moment. This is the highest growing biopic ever. And this is about Michael, the king of pop. And to no longer be able to be a part of that and share in this magical moment has to be so hurtful. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if she went to the premiere. I didn't see any pics of her, but I don't know if I could do that. Like, I don't know, like, if I could go to the premiere and sit with the cast and just watch this amazing film knowing that my scenes were out and I'm not like, that has to be so hurtful. Like, I would be so hurt. Like, bitch, I'm not a part of this magic. But let's move along. So Michael has a surprise. Everybody is outside wondering what's going on. We meet Bubbles. A truck pulls up and he drops off Bubbles. Now, the monkey is CGI, but it's so cute. It's a little baby monkey with a diaper out. It was so cute. Jaafar did this so well. He did this scene so well. And it was so funny to see Tito and Marlon like, what the hell? When he's holding Bubbles and he's like, they either hide or they attack. And he's looking right at Joseph when he says it. I'm like, yeah, that's a warning for your ass. You see Bubbles and Mike in the room, and he's showing him his album. He's showing him Peter Pan. And it was cute when Michael had pointed to his nose, and then you see him looking at his album cover, and then you see Bubbles pointing to his nose. It was so cute. I love that. Oh my God, Bubbles is touching his nose. So then we see Michael at the doctor, and he's getting his nose surgery done. I felt so bad. I felt, no, Michael, no. I'm glad they introduced the vitiligo. They brought that up when the nurse was asking him, medical questions, and he told her that he's taking Benequin. I always get this wrong. Benequin, I think that's how you say it. Benequin cream for his vitiligo, and they showed it on his arm. So I'm glad that they put that in the film, to get on top of people saying he bleached his skin. You know what I'm saying? When he got home, oh my gosh, seeing how nervous he was when Joe had called him and Joe took his glasses off, you could see the fear in his eyes. And he was like, it's for my sinuses. I was like, oh my God, Michael, it's okay, baby. It's okay. He can't touch you no more. You grown. I think he was like 21-ish at this time. But, after years of abuse, no matter how old you are, you're always going to be scared. And in interviews, I had heard that Michael said when Joe would show up to the studio, Michael would literally be sick. Like, he would feel sick to his stomach, and like, that's just how much fear he had from Joseph. And to fear a parent that bad is ridiculous. Is beyond ridiculous. Moving on. We see Michael with LaToya, and they're in his room. He got his big ass pet snake. I enjoyed the scenes with LaToya. Even though I got a little beef with LaToya, I did enjoy the actress who portrayed her in the film. She did very well. But, I just got a little beef with LaToya in real life, finding out all these things that I never knew about, about her saying publicly that Michael was we ain't even gonna say it on here. And then, finding out she was forced to say it by her husband, and I just got a little beef with LaToya. That's it. Then we have a scene where the boys are meeting with Joe, and Joe drops the bomb and tells them that they're going to do a tour and a live album. And that just really ruined the plans for Michael, because Michael wanted to do a solo tour for Off the Wall. And when I tell you, I am so mad, even though I wasn't alive during this time, but I'm so mad that Michael never got to do a tour for Off the Wall or Thriller. That's crazy. Now, I know he did incorporate his solo songs on the tours, Victory, Destiny, Triumph. I know he did, his own solo songs on those tours. But still, those were group tours, they weren't solo tours. So it's different. It's not the same, We get to see a little bit more of Bill at this time. He runs out. Bill takes him for a drive to clear his head. And Bill just really gives him some advice. Find you your own lawyer, find you your own team. You can do it by yourself. You can take the steps, It's like now when I hear some music, you automatically think of certain scenes. So now when I hear, you better stop, don't get me around, you automatically think of this driving scene. Whenever I hear, I can't help it if I wanted to, I'm thinking of Michael and Louie. So Michael takes Bill's advice, and now we have moved on to Michael finding his own team, finding his own lawyer. We are introduced now to Bill Branca. Okay, he has a meeting with this law firm, and he decides that he want to go with Bill with John Branca. Now, I've been hearing some things online that John wasn't really a good man, and he still ain't a good man, but I believe he's now the full owner of Michael's estate, and he, had a big role in the movie. So, of course, he's going to make himself look good. I don't know for sure. Some people say he's a good man. Some people say he's not. The guy who portrayed John in this film, I really liked him. I loved all the actors in this film, but I really liked him. This blue jacket that Michael had on. I like this blue jacket, and I did not notice the orange juice that was on the table. I had to go back and really look at it because I would see people in the comments talking about Michael always had his orange juice, and he did have orange juice on the table. All the other lawyers had water, and Michael had his orange juice. Once he decides he wants John Branca to be his lawyer, he tells John, hey, look, I got something for you already to do. All right, I got a job for you already. The first job, I need you to fire Jules' ass. Okay? Now. Not now. Right now. So what's the quickest way to do it? John sends his ass a fax, right? Joe gets his fax that says Joe Services has been terminated as Michael Jackson's manager. Joe is hot. He storms into the room with Catherine. LaToya's in there. He tells LaToya, get your ass out of here. Get your ass out of here, LaToya. He shows Catherine this fax, and then Joe asks gonna talk about that boy gonna feel my belt when he get in here. And Catherine says, what you gonna do, beat him? You can't beat him no more. He's grown. Baby, I said, oh, this is where Catherine gonna put her foot down. She said, you can't beat him no more. You can't whoop nobody. You can't beat nobody. And if you don't like it, you can leave. I said, you know what? I was wondering, is this when she owned the house already? Because I did hear that Joe was so much in debt that Michael bought the Havenhurst house and put it in Catherine's name. So I'm wondering, did he already do that at this time? And that's why she said, if you don't like it, you can leave. Because this is my house. Okay? You can leave if you don't like it. She told him, and another thing, you need to be grateful for everything that we have here. Because if it wasn't for Michael, you wouldn't have nothing. Okay? If it wasn't for Michael, you wouldn't have nothing. Okay? And she included only Michael. Okay, she didn't mention the brothers. She didn't say, and you need to thank all of your kids when you see them. She said Michael because she know Michael was a breadwinner. Okay, without Michael, the other kids, you wouldn't have all this with the other kids. You got all this because of Michael. No disrespect. No disrespect, because I love Marlon, Tito, Jackie, Jermaine. But we know. Moving on. Oh, but before, a lot of people had noticed the giraffe's nosy ass looking through the window. We see Michael and Bill in a toy store. They're loading up a cart full of toys. People spot Michael. This was funny, though. This mom and son spot him, and she's like, oh, my God, it's Michael. Kids be really messing things up. I swear, you try to be discreet, and here go the child. That's Michael. What? That's Michael. What? That's Michael. What? I'm trying to be quiet. I said, that's Michael. Is you dumb? Is you blind? Is you deaf? Just mess up the whole thing. But it was so funny when Michael said, who's trying to make this out to? And she said, you can make it out to Paul. Lean. I said, I know that's right, girl. Get your autograph. So then Michael and Bill, they end up back at the house. The brothers were outside playing basketball, and everybody just always brings up this scene. Michael says, look, guys, I got Twister. We can play Twister later. And the boys are all telling him they got things to do. I think Marlon had a date. And, then Michael's just sad. And we see him walk in. And next thing you know, he's playing Twister with Bubbles. We like, oh, no, Mike. Really? It's that bad? Yes, it's that bad. Michael ain't had no friends. He was this big superstar. He can't have friends, right? So all he's got is his brothers. And ain't nobody want to play Twister with him, so he had to play Twister with Bubbles. And Bubbles' ass don't listen, so he just going all over the board. So the game didn't last, right? But it was cute, though. So then we see Michael go into the kitchen, get some ice cream for Bubbles. Bam, we see Joe. We see Joe with this fax in his hand. He's talking to Michael like, how could you fire me, your own father? You don't know nothing about business. And if you notice, when Joe had put the paper down and he said, read it, and then Joe, he did this big sigh, you could see Michael like kind of move a little bit, and that was another sign of how scared he was of Joe. Just by hearing him sigh, it made him like flinch, like he thought Joe was going to come and do something to him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Michael was so scared of him. Poor thing. But yeah, you're fired. Yeah, you're fired. So then we see Michael going to the hospital and all those toys that he bought at the toy store, he brought them for the kids and they were so happy. And I like this scene with the little boy. The little boy was so cute. He did his role so well. He's telling Michael about his dog, Rudy, and how the dog done got fat because he feed him too much. And Michael asked him if he watched TV, and then Michael calls him a doo-doo head. And it was just cute. It was just a cute scene. Now we see John and Michael talking, and they're going over like the rollout or things that Michael needs to do, promotions and all that. And Michael's telling him how he wants the biggest selling record of all time for not just black people, but white people, everybody. Like he just wanted the biggest selling record of all times. He wanted to put out short films and just telling John all these things that he wants to do. And lo and behold, he did achieve that and so much more. Then we see him in the pool with his brothers, and this was a good scene too. There were so many good scenes, but we see him like humming a little bit and looking up at the sky, and the brothers are asking, what you doing, Mike? And Mike says, I'm manifesting. I'm waiting for God to give me a song. If I'm not here to receive it, he might give it to Prince. And that was so funny because there's always been like this friendly rivalry, friendly competition between Mike and Prince. So that was a cute, funny scene that they put in there. And then we are transitioning from that to the Thriller era. I like the song that they played during this transition. There ain't no reason for you to feel sad. Yeah. This is where we see Michael walking down the street with Louis. Now, normally you see somebody walking down the street with a dog, but this is Michael Jackson, okay? He walking down the street with his llama, and the neighbors are outside, and they looking like, what the? Baby, I don't know how I would react if first of all, seeing Michael Jackson, and then seeing Michael Jackson with a llama, like, we see him in the studio, his home studio, and we see him in the process of coming up with the melodies and the lyrics, and it was so cool to see it. He's pinning these note cards on the wall, the pegboard, and it was really cute. And he's doing the he did a little beatbox or whatever. It was so nice to see that process. And then we see him looking at the news on TV, and they're talking about the gangs, and then that is what inspired Beat It, right? We see him go to the studio where there's the Bloods and the Crips. I don't know how Bill got this arranged, but Bill still got this set up for the Crips and the Bloods to be there, and Michael showed up and they were all like, yo, it's Michael. And so we see them practicing, rehearsing, Beat It. And it's just so cool. It was just so cool to see it because I remember in the actual video, I love how they had these two men dressed like the actual video. The guy in the all white, right, had like the white vest and like the white like hammer pants. And then you had that guy with the black jacket and the yellow and black striped shirt. Like, I'm so happy that they put those two specifically in this movie because I remember them from the video. So I'm glad they did that. But to see them do the dance and Beat It, like, it was just so cool. I really like that. I really like this scene. So they play the song Beat It through, like, all the way through basically. And you see them doing the Beat It dance, rehearsal. Then you see Michael and Quincy in the studio recording Beat It. And then you see him like trying to figure out what is the album title gonna be. You see him watching this scary movie on, like, I just love how they did that. And then bam, he came up with a title, Thriller, right, from this movie that he was watching. I love how they transitioned from that movie to Thriller. Like, that was the next scene. We're at the video set of Thriller, and when I tell you, they made this look exactly like the real thing. And Jaafar had said in an interview that this was the exact location, the original location where they filmed Thriller, and it was a full moon, like crazy. But I loved how they did it. I loved the Ola Ray character that was Antoine Fuqua's daughter. She looked great. She looked amazing. She had a small role, but she did great. I loved it. The dancing was so good. Oh my God, the dancing was so good. They had the break dancers, like doing their little pop lock, and like, it was exactly like the video. It was exactly like the video. It was so great. Moving on. We are in, I think it's 1983. I'm not sure. 81? I don't know. We're in New York. We're in the office of Walter, right? He's like the head of CBS, I think. He's congratulating Michael on Thriller and the sales out of this world. Now Michael and John Branca are trying to get Walter to get Billie Jean on MTV, because back then MTV wasn't trying to play people of this color, right? And Michael was like, I make my music for everybody, black and white. And when he said, Walter, with love, please try harder, I said, Walter, damn it, you better try harder. So Walter got old boy from MTV on the phone. And shout out to Mike Myers, because I did not know that was Mike. I did not. I think I knew, like, maybe after the third time watching it, I realized that was Mike Myers. I said, oh, he did a good job. He did a good job. I like his little Jersey accent that he had, because it sounded like Jersey more than New York. But he was like, Bob, thank you for taking my call. I need you to play Billie Jean. So basically, Walter just tore him a new one, and we end up with Billie Jean on MTV. We go into Motown 25. We are transitioning to Motown 25. Billie Jean is on MTV, and now he is performing Billie Jean at Motown 25. When I tell you, Jaafar, just amazing. I saw somebody had stitched together Jaafar's performance of Billie Jean, and underneath it was the actual performance of Billie Jean, and playing it simultaneously. And when I tell you, like, identical, exact movement, like, Jaafar did his thing. Like, he really studied and dedicated himself to learning everything about Michael, not his uncle, but Michael, the artist. Because when I tell you, he nailed this performance. And then, of course, Joe has to bring his ass and ruin the moment Everybody is congratulating Michael backstage. His brothers, Catherine, Barry Gordy, Suzanne. And here comes Joe talking about, y'all see that? That's my son, my money making machine. Like, what? Your money making machine, bitch. So Joe ruined the whole thing. He ruined the moment. And I did see in an interview that Michael actually cried that night because he didn't stay on his toes as long as he wanted. And I did see the actual footage, and he did kind of, he did, he didn't get up all the way like he normally do. He did kind of fall a little quickly. Like, yeah, but it was still good. Like, nobody would have known any better, and nobody did know any better. Everybody loved the performance, but of course, as an artist, you want to be perfect, and Michael was a perfectionist. But like Erykah Badu says, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. So, now we get introduced to Don King's ass. Let the sneaking and conniving begin. So Joe and Don King, one and the same, are having this meeting. Joe is trying to get Don to go into the music business with him. He's telling him about this tour that he's putting together, the Victory Tour. And so Don tells Michael, this is where we get this Pepsi incident. Pepsi's trying to get back in the game. Michael can be the face. This was all Don's doing, and I did not know this. Like I'm telling you, I've been finding out all sorts of things, okay? Because I was born in 84, and at that time, I think Michael was already 25, right? And so I didn't really get into Michael until I was like maybe 11, 12 is when I really got to know who Michael was. So I've been finding out so many things, because since this biopic dropped, so much has like resurfaced on social media, like old interviews and old performance clips and just home videos. Everything has resurfaced, So I never knew that Don King was behind this Pepsi incident, because in American Dream, I don't think Don was in that at all. We saw the Pepsi incident in American Dream, but I don't believe Don was in it at all. So I had no idea Don was involved until this biopic. After that scene, we get another scene that shows how vulnerable Mike is around Joe, right? So Michael's going to his room and Joe is in there, and he tries to manipulate Michael, and he succeeds. He tells Michael, I need you to go on tour with your brothers, right? Michael starts to stand up for himself. He's like, Joe, I'm grown. You can't tell me what to do anymore. You're not even my manager anymore. We fired your ass. You got the facts. You got the Carfax. He was standing up for himself, but then Joe came and manipulated his ass. And now he did say a couple of facts. He did say, you want to be surrounded by a bunch of yes men. You want to have all the money in the world, but you're going to have a bunch of yes men around you. You won't have your family around you to protect you. And unfortunately, Michael did have the wrong people around him. Like in his later years, he had the wrong people around him. He did distance himself from his family. And I understand why. He wanted some independence, some freedom. He was tired of being the moneymaker for everybody. He just wanted to do his own thing, be solo. So I do understand him separating himself from his family, but he wasn't completely separated. Like they did have family reunions and things, and he was a part of 3T. Shout out to 3T. He did help 3T in their career. So Michael wasn't too distant from his family, but I think towards the later parts of his life, when his handlers got involved, they definitely kept Michael away from his family and kept his family away from him. So Joe was kind of on point in that aspect. But he did manipulate him, because he tried to say, I know you don't want to let down your family, right? Because he knew how much Michael cared about his family. But you could see the fear in Michael when Joe started to walk towards him. Michael stepped back, and he still had his hand on the door from when he first walked into his room. So he squeezed that doorknob. He was holding on to that handle, baby, tight. to brace himself if Joe tried to do something to him. Oh my gosh, he was so scared. You can see it on his face. He couldn't even look at. And Joe brought his ass right here. I'm like, Joe, if you don't get the fuck out of my face, like he was right here in Michael's face, and you can just feel how scared Mike is. Like if you're already intimidated by somebody and they end up coming right here, like I could just Michael's heart beating. You know what I'm saying? How could you do that to him? Now we're on set of the Pepsi commercial. Why didn't director just why you made him go all the way up to the top of them stairs? Why? Michael is coming down the stairs. His hair is caught on fire. He's rolling around on the ground. It's very sad. He gets rushed to the hospital. Bill come in there with his favorite food. All his food. I even got the red candies that you like. What he said? He said, I got, was it, not Shirley Temple. What was it? Oh, I can't think of the name. But he said, I got something. I even got the red candies that you like. But the thing that was his favorite, he go, Catherine, I'm going to just use Shirley Temple because I can't remember it. Red Temple, that's your favorite, Michael. Did I say Red Temple? I don't know what the hell I said, but she was like, that's your favorite, Michael. He looks so much like Michael in this scene. I've seen the actual photos of Michael when he was in the hospital. He had his curly hair, had that big bandage on the back of his head. Jaafar looked just like him in the scene. This scene made me cry. Like it really did. I was crying in that theater. When she says, I'm sorry, Michael. I should have protected you. Yes, you should. When he's like, Mother, I don't want to discuss this. And then when he says, nobody can stop Joseph. Nobody. I said, oh my God. Michael was so scared of him. Michael was so scared of him. And then he rolls over. He looks at the Peter Pan book that's on the table. And he says, it's not your fault. And then Catherine feels this sense of relief. But as a mother, you still gonna blame yourself because your child is hurt. And you always want to protect your child. And she know her ass should have stood up to Joe and said something. But hey, she had her moment where she cried. I cried. We all cried. Then we get John Breaker. John comes to the hospital to visit Michael. Michael is visiting burn patients. As he did, there's footage of him visiting burn patients in the hospital. He tells John the money that they're getting from the Pepsi incident, he wants to donate it to the burn center. All of it. Like Michael didn't keep none of that money. And it was a 7-figure check that he was getting. He said, I donated all to the burn center. Oh, I forgot the scene. So before, Bill came into the room with his favorite foods and all that, they show everybody in the waiting room, right? Joe, Catherine, the boys, Bill, and then the doctor comes out, right? And then Joe's ass, running up to the doctor and, asking the doctor how is he doing? How long is it going to take to recover? And the doctor is telling him about all these burns and 3rd-degree burns. And then they went to Bill. Bill was standing in the back. And when the doctor said he's got 3rd-degree burns, Bill was looking like, Bill was heated. Bill was mad, okay? Because at this point, he's been with Michael since he was a little boy. And now he's like, in his 20s now. And so Bill had built that bond with him. And so Bill was heated. Bill was mad. You hurt my son, bitch. You hurt my son. That's how he felt. Okay, now so back to where we were. It goes to Catherine and Joe back at home, and Joe was telling Catherine that we got to get Michael to do this tour, okay? If we don't get him to do this tour, we're going to lose the house, we're going to lose sponsorships, we're going to lose deals, everything. Joe was so manipulative. He manipulated them boys. He manipulated his wife. Like, he really was, like, trying to put into her head, we got to get Michael to do this or we're going to lose everything. Like, scaring her, you know what I'm saying? Because Catherine ended up being the one talking Michael into doing the tour. And Michael never says no to his mom, right? And so I feel like Joe knew that. He played on that. And, it's just pathetic. Joe is pathetic. But I do like how in this scene, she told him, look, Michael is grown. He's on his own path. You need to realize that, okay? And when Joe said, well, what about the other boys? Catherine said, they'll find their way. And when he said that, that's when you knew that Joe knew the boys, I don't want to say he didn't have no talent, but couldn't make it on their own. Because why would you say, well, what about the other boys? Why they can't do solo projects? Joe knew they can't have solo projects. Like, they can do solo projects, but he knew it wasn't going to go nowhere, like Michael. You know what I'm saying? We're back in the hospital now. It's Michael and Bill. Michael realizes that he wants to do this tour for his family. He realizes that he's got this big platform and he wants to use it for good, to showcase his talents, use his talents to help the world, heal the world, to give back. And he tells Bill, I'm going to do this tour. But after this tour, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to look him in his face and I'm going to tell his ass I'm done. And he did exactly that. We're now coming to the end. We're at the victory tour. It's the last night of the victory tour. Jaafar, baby. The girls have been talking about Jaafar in these striped pants. They've been saying Jaafar got cake in these striped pants. I swear to God. Jaafar performed this Human Nature song so good. I loved how they did it too. They made it look like the actual performance. I pulled up the tour and I pulled up this song, and with the green lights, the effects, like they did it just like the actual thing. Like, I love how much they did everything exactly like how it happened. So I really love how they did it. When I tell you the moves, like, oh my gosh. But every time it got to the part where it's like reaching out, I always did that. Reaching out, Justin. At the end, like, that was legit. Like when he did and then spotlight, like that really happened at the concert. I said, come on, Jaafar. Come on, Jaafar. So now we're at the last performance of the victory tour. They're doing You Got Me Working Day and Night. I love that song. Hold on, mama. And if you notice, Prince, Michael's son, was in the back. He was standing behind Michael backstage before he ran out on stage. I didn't notice that the first time I seen it. I think I didn't notice that for a couple of times. But this is where Michael finally stands up for himself. He puts his foot down and he puts an end to being told what to do. He announces to the crowd, hey, this is our last and final tour. This is the end. This is our farewell tour. And looking at Joe while he's saying it. And once again, I pulled this up and he actually did this on stage. I said, Michael. But it had me thinking, like, what did the brothers think when they went backstage? Because, Michael wouldn't say nothing to nobody. He might have said something to Catherine, but he ain't say nothing to nobody. So not only is Joe caught off guard, but so are the brothers. So I'm like, what was the conversation like backstage? I wonder if they're going to do that in parts. Well, no, they can't do that because they ended it on bad. So we never know. We're not going to know what the brothers thought. I wonder what they thought. Like, what the, Michael, what? Now, we're at the final scene. 1988. So we're in London, England. And now we are back to where we started. When the movie started, before it flashed back, we are back at that very moment. We see Michael walking in his bad outfit, waist down. We see him from the back. We see Bill back there. We see him turn around. And everybody has been saying, that was Michael right there when he turned around. That was Michael. He looked just like... Everybody says that was Michael. That wasn't Jaafar. Michael possessed his ass, and that was Michael in that moment. But I loved when he looked back at Bill, and Bill shook his head like, It's all you. It's your turn. Like giving him that approval, like, you know what I'm saying? And he smiled at Bill, like, oh my God, it was just so heartwarming. Baby, when I tell you, when Jaafar went out there and did bad, yeah, Michael possessed him. Because I don't know which performance was the best. Bad, Billie Jean, Beat It, Thriller. I don't know. They're all so good. But Bad was just so... And again, I seen actual footage side by side of Michael's actual version and Jaafar's version. Uncanny. Like the hand movements, like even Michael's little run, like when he ran across the stage, like Michael has like that hoppity type of run, and Jaafar, like, the movie was just great. Movie was just so great, hands down. I love how it ended. That's what Michael did on the stage. This movie was great. Absolutely great. I love it. I love it. I love it. 10s across the board for me. I know a lot of people were complaining that certain things that they wanted to see weren't in there. They felt like they were skipping too much. They left out Rock With You, and Rock With You was a big hit for Michael. I mean, everything was big hits for Michael, but Rock With You was a really big hit from Off the Wall, along with Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. I would have enjoyed seeing Rock With You on here too, because that was my jam too. Like, all night. Michael has so much going on, so many things, so many accomplishments. He was in the business for 45 years, because he died at 50, started at 5, so 45 years Mike's been doing this. It's too much. It's too much to squeeze in, okay? And I feel like yes, we are getting a part 2, but you can't fit everything in, and we don't know what happened on the back end. Things might not have been able to be put in legally. You know, we have the thing with Diana Ross. We couldn't put those scenes in. I feel like people can't necessarily say, oh, they left this out, they left that out, because you don't know what the script may have had and what they had to take out for legal reasons. But for what was presented to us, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it hands down. We do know that Janet, Randy, and Paris didn't approve of it. They were not, supporting it. But, to each his own. They are part of the family, and, they, have their qualms that we don't know about. We, the public, we don't know, the ins and outs of the Jackson family. So, but I respect their opinions and how they feel about it. But us fans, we definitely enjoyed it, and we cannot wait for part 2. I definitely am excited to see it, but also nervous because, the later part of Michael's life was, it was hard for him. Hopefully we get a lot of things off of the Bad album, like Smooth Criminal. Remember the Time was on the Dangerous album. Hopefully they'll go into the Dangerous. So many things happen in between the allegations, so you never know. You never know. Hell, it might even be a part 3. I don't know. For now, congratulations to the whole cast: Graham King, Antoine Fuqua, Jaafar, Giuliano, Nia, Coleman, all of the actors who portrayed the brothers, the younger versions and the older versions. Congratulations to everybody. Y'all did an amazing job. The movie is number 1, the highest grossing pick ever. So congratulations. And for Graham, it's the highest grossing pick, but he did the second highest grossing pick, which is Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's a win-win for Graham. If you guys have seen the film, let me know how y'all feel down below. If you have not seen it, what are you doing? What's your problem? I think it's still in the theaters. I don't know. It just premiered in Japan a couple weeks ago. So, Japan, I know they're gonna take it over the top. They're gonna take it over the top, and we just gonna keep going into them billions. Like, Japan, y'all know the assignment. So y'all let me know down below what y'all thought about the movie. What parts were your favorite? Are you excited for the second part? And just sending positive thoughts, positive energy to Jaafar Jackson as he embarks on this newfound fame, because it is hitting him. It's coming at him fast. And so I hope he has a good team, a support system around him to help him navigate through this, because this is his first acting role. So he is entering a whole new atmosphere with acting. So positive vibes to Jaafar. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, the what? To the end of the video, you must have caught a vibe. A what? I said you must have caught a vibe. Okay, all right. So subscribe. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.